Disclaimer: Please note I am not a licensed professional. Any advice given is based solely on personal experience or opinions of myself or my guest. Welcome back to Pain and Revival Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Steve Judson. He has been a very big influence on not only me, but so many different people. Honestly, if you've been following my podcast, you know that he was a big part of my story and kind of almost saved my life, basically, without realizing it. And he's a phenomenal chiropractor, public speaker, has his own podcast, Wake Up Humans. And yeah, so as much as his life may seem perfect, it's definitely not, and he's had some trauma. And so yeah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, girl. How are you? Congratulations on the podcast. This is great.
Thank you. So I just wanted to know, for people who don't know, a lot of people do, but how did you get into chiropractic?
By chance, pure destiny. I wasn't, was never part of my plan. You know, I had a dream of being a professional baseball player, and one injury took that dream away. And my mom was working part-time for a chiropractor, and she's like, you should be a chiropractor. When I looked into it with my guidance counselor in college, they're like, yeah, you're not cut out. You're not smart enough. You're not a science person. It's not your thing. And I didn't listen to them. And I showed up at chiropractic school, and by the grace of God, I ended up at Dynamic Essentials, the very first quarter of chiropractic school, by accident, quote unquote. And then I heard the story about Clearview Sanitarium, which was a chiropractic psychiatric hospital, and it changed my life. Then I knew why God wanted me to be a chiropractor.
Yeah. So what's the story on Clearview Sanitarium, for those who don't know, and what connected you to it?
So BJ Palmer, who's known as the developer of chiropractic, he's the one that, you know, his father discovered chiropractic, and then BJ was the science. He wanted to prove it. He wanted to find the best ways of delivering the chiropractic adjustment, detecting subluxation. He's very passionate about taking care of human beings. And he took over this place, Clearview Sanitarium, which turned out it was a chiropractic psychiatric hospital where people with schizophrenia, bipolar, manic depression, and they started adjusting their atlas, and the results were amazing. And it fell heavy on my heart because I went through an experience with my older brother, Ronnie, who was a big athlete, football player, baseball player. He was in an Ivy League school, and he got hurt playing football. He hurt his neck, and it changed the entire course of not only his life, but all of our lives, as his whole life just changed. His whole chemistry changed. His whole emotions changed. And he ended up in a psychiatric hospital. And we were dealing with that for years. And then I ended up in chiropractic school at DE, and I heard about Clearview Sanitarium, and I was like, how come I never heard about this before? Like, my brother could have been helped. If he saw a good chiropractor, he probably would not have ended up in a psychiatric hospital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so hard being I would say kind of a bystander to someone who does have a subluxation and they don't realize it, and they have no way to get help because no one knew about it. So I feel like that's kind of your mission. Your mission is to tell people about it, get it out there so everyone knows. What would you recommend to people who are trying to get it out but maybe don't know how to explain chiropractic or, anything like that?
So you use the word bystander, which is a powerful word, because bystander is someone who chooses to stand by, or they're off to the side. They're not involved, right?
Right.
And the more you stand by and watch people suffer, to me, and a way to help them, that's a crime. A spiritual crime, an emotional crime. So if I'm at the Grand Canyon and a family's taking pictures, and their 3-year-old turns around and walks away from them, and they don't see him, he's just walking towards the edge of this cliff at the Grand Canyon, and I'm a bystander watching this. I'm watching them take pictures. I'm watching this little guy walk off, and he's headed right towards the edge of the cliff. What am I going to do? I'm
Yeah.
either going to stand by and let it happen, or I'm going to jump in and stop the little guy from falling to his death. So when people learn about chiropractic and they learn the principles and the philosophy behind the whole science of chiropractic, it's hard to stand by and watch people suffer, end up on drugs, end up with unnecessary surgeries when they know that if they could clear out the central nervous system, which is what the job of a chiropractor is, and it could help them heal naturally the way the body's intended to, then people need to know about it. So you ask how can we get how do we do this? You just speak loud. You tell people. We tell anybody we can about this principle. And what would stop people from doing that? First you start getting adjusted. You see how your life changes. You see how, you know, whatever value it adds to your life, that if you're not getting adjusted, it's not happening. My patients that have been coming in for the longest, they're not getting sick. They're not taking drugs. They're not ending up with unnecessary surgeries. And, I say unnecessary because there's a time and place where you may need a surgery. You may need some medication. If you got a trauma going on, that's what the medical profession is there for, but not to stay healthy and be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to wake up and make choices in your own life. And the number one choice people need to understand is how's your atlas? How's the atlas, which protects the brainstem, protects every nerve in your entire body, starts here, and it controls every system of your body. So if people understand by nurturing that, it's going to make yourself so much stronger and durable to live a healthy, vibrant life. When you know this truth, it's like you go to a great movie. Have you ever gone to a movie and you were excited about it? What's one of the first things you do when you get out? People pick up their cell phone and start texting their friends.
Yeah.
They're taking pictures in front of the picture marquee and telling people, you got to go see this movie. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. People do the same thing for chiropractic. I'm not saying people should do it. They are doing it. People that discover chiropractic and start living clear, they're telling all their friends. It's already happening. But what has to happen to listeners right now who are maybe stumbling upon this podcast and like, what the heck is this all about? They can reach out to you. They can reach out to me and say, hey, I live in Michigan in this area. How do I know what chiropractor to go to? Because then we're going to want to send them to someone who's specific and has the right mindset, that knows how to take care of the atlas, cares about them in a way that it's going to add value to their life, and we send them to them. Now, they have an amazing experience. Now, they're going to leave that building. They're going to text all their best friends. They're going to text their family. They're going to bring their kids in. They're going to bring their spouse in. And all of a sudden, they're part of the mission. They're the part of the mission to not stand by, but to be involved in changing the course of their community, because a healthy, vibrant, drug-free community is a heck of a lot better than a community that's sad, depressed, beaten down, and doped up.
Mm-hmm. So when people ask me what chiropractic is, the best way that I can explain it is, I don't know if I heard this somewhere, if I just came up with this, I'm really not sure, but I always explain it as it's like a water hose. When it has a kink in it, it can't fully, all the pressure doesn't come out and the water isn't fully expressing, basically. And when that happens, what do? You go and you remove the kink. So in theory, a chiropractor is removing your kinks inside of your body. So that's just my way of explaining it, but that's how life is. That's if you're not fully expressing yourself, then people are going to end up hurt by that, because if you are supposed to be like a life changer and you're supposed to be a big motivational person or a psych therapist or something, and you're so hurt and you're focused on what happened to you, whether that's physical trauma or mental trauma, you can't help them and you never realize what your full potential was. So I think that that's the big message of chiropractic.
Yeah, it's a very simple one too.
Mm-hmm.
What's more effective, a kinked hose or a fully functional hose?
Right. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And it baffles my mind when people are like, oh, it's cracking backs. Well, no, it's not. Because if we cracked your back, then you would be in the hospital because you would have a crack in your bones.
Yeah.
And it just baffles me. What is your advice when people kind of in politics, I guess, they get like hard questions, and it's like, I don't know how to answer that, or they contradict your belief in chiropractic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not believing in gravity. And if I
Mhm.
take it to the top of a building and throw you off of it, you're going to believe in gravity really quick.
Right.
So it's not that they don't believe in chiropractic, it's just that they don't understand it, or they haven't experienced it the right way, or they had a bad experience. Is it possible to go to the chiropractor and have a bad experience, to get your back cracked and it doesn't feel good? The answer
Mhm.
is yes.
Yeah.
Right, but that's human error, that's human nature. You go to a restaurant and then you end up with food poisoning and you're throwing up all night. Do you stop going to restaurants?
Right. Yeah.
So it's all about the human experience and their paradigm. You're living in the middle of a movie right now. That's all life is a movie. And you're basing your decisions off your past, what you've seen, what you felt, and what people have told you. Whoever your parents are, your teachers are, whatever they made you believe. The beauty about believing is a belief can be changed. So you can wake up and have a new experience and say, you know what? My history teacher, they said this. I don't agree right now. They were wrong. My parents, I love them, but they were wrong. You know what? And because of their belief system, their life is not great. But this new
Mhm.
person that I just met, who has an amazing life, just shared this philosophy, shared this principle, shared this way of life, and they're doing it. And I like the way they're living. I like the fact that they don't have a medicine cabinet full of pills in their bathroom. Why did my parents have that? Because they didn't know any better. No one ever
Mhm.
talked to them. No one ever got into their head. So what people need to realize, especially young kids, you have this powerful thing called your mind. And as a young child, people are putting into your mind what they think you're supposed to think, feel, do. And all of a sudden you wake up and you realize, wow, I can actually think on my own. And then adults around us will get upset. No, you shouldn't. No, you can't. No, you don't. Why? Because they want you to fit into their little box of life that they think is normal. But
Mhm.
the beauty of the mind is you could start telling the mind what you want it to think, say, do. You can start putting new things into the mind, like a computer. I could go into Google and start putting whatever I want into it. And whatever this computer realizes what I'm putting into, it sets up a metrics of how I'm thinking, and it's going to start advertising and doing things to me. Your body and brain are the same way. So what you put in here is going to affect your entire life, how your body and your emotions are expressed. So the beautiful thing that, and I hope this podcast could hit kids your age and to help them understand you don't have to live in a box. You
Mhm.
know, read a book, listen to a book, listen to positive YouTube, listen to positive podcasts. Don't get caught up in the garbage on TikTok. That's going to intoxicate your mind and make you a weak human being. There's people that want you to be weak. There's people that want you to be sad. There's people that want you on drugs and medications and drinking because now they can control you. But when you turn around and say, okay, when I'm 30 years old, what do I want my life to look like? And if you look in the mirror and say, I really don't know, but I don't want it to look like the people I'm around right now. So now you got to find people and start building a dream and start telling your mind, this is what I want. I met this person and I talked to them and I questioned them and I want to end up like that. How did they get there? What did they do? How did they control themselves, their mind? What did they learn? And you just copy them. So you start creating a circle of friends that are empowering you, lifting you up, teaching you, building a dream of success, abundance, health. What are healthy people doing? Right? You go on YouTube or even my people jumping in cold tubs, hot tubs, getting adjusted, eating a carnivore diet, exercising, doing CrossFit, doing whatever your path is. That's what healthy, successful people do. They have a healthy journey and they make smart choices. But the smartest choice that any human being on this planet can make to start the journey to empower it from within is getting their Atlas checked, adjusted, and living clear. It makes
Mhm.
all the other choices easier.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it better, but so when people want to go against the grain kind of, and they don't want to be a part of this normal way of living now, which it's not a natural way of living, but it's the normalized thing. It takes a lot of guts to go against what you've grown up in. I know, believe me, I know. It takes a lot to be like, you know what? I don't want to be like that. That's really bad. So what do you think they should do?
They need to get around people that are on that path, because you got to realize you're not creating a brand new path.
Right.
There's people that have already done it.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little in life that we're going to probably start out brand new that has never been attempted before, right? And there are people that will, but I'm probably not one of those guys that will.
Right.
But, you know, if you look at a bunch of cows in the middle of a field, they're just laying around, eating grass, throwing up in their mouth and swallowing it, and just walking in circles, doing nothing until some dude comes up, cuts their throat, and makes them into hamburgers, right? But then if you look at a pack of wolves, you really can't find them. They're moving around, they're hiding, they're running, they're in their pack, they're moving, they're shaking, they're making everybody move because they're out and they're going to eat you for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to live like a wolf. You want to live with a pack of people that are going to take care of you. So the biggest step to make is you step out of this box and, like you said, go against the grain. You're going to end up in a new grain, a new path with people that are already moving in that direction, that are going to support you. So for like you, grandma's bringing you to DE for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And for listeners that don't know what Dynamic Essential is, it's a bunch of people that are going against the grain, growing, learning, supporting, and they will take you like they've taken you and lift you up, Paula and Marilyn and all of us that love you, right? And sometimes they're tough on you because we love you that much that we're not going to let you go down if you don't choose to. Like we're going to support you. So anyone that comes into a circle like that of positivity and people that truly care, because they realize what you're going through. Because like you said in the beginning, that people have been through a lot, and Steve's been through a lot, you know, and people have been hurt. Everybody's been through that. Mm-hmm. And when you, instead of becoming a victim and poor me, and I'm going to cry about it and take dope to make myself happy, say, well, what can I learn from it? And how can I help other people? And how can I prevent people from going through that? Now you build a life mission, but it's getting around the people that are going to lift you up. So you realize I'm really not going against the grain. I'm actually with a better grain.
Right.
I'm going to end up with a better life. And you're going to wake up someday 30 years old in a hell of a lot better place than if you went and hung out with all the cows.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I totally get that. And people at DE, they are hard. Like when I first started coming, it was, oh, you know, she's so sweet. But now it's like, no, like this is serious. And if I start to slack, like I'm gonna get a slap on the wrist. Like
because you're at a next level now.
Right.
You're no longer baby girl that, you know, we're hugging and crying and stuff. Now it's like, we got work to do, kid. Let's go.
Right. So I can definitely vouch for like get around a good environment, because when I lived with my mom, like her problem, what happened to her is she never went against the grain. She was never like, you know what? I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to be like my whole family, because my family goes back generations and they're all crazy and they all do drugs and all of that, you know, stuff. It's crazy. But I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. And the way that I did that is I kept going to DE. And when you're still in that environment, like when I was still with my mom, it was still and going to DE, I was still affected by it and I was still hurt by it and still playing that victim mentality. But once I left that situation and got with people who also go against the grain and who are benefiting life, like I changed. And it was like, all I did was move houses. That's all I did. And it's crazy how much your environment can change your whole life.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Now, what you got to understand is this, right? You didn't just end up at DE.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't just end up, you know, out of mom's house.
Right.
There was people that cared about you enough to create an opportunity for you. They weren't just a bystander. They didn't stand by and watch you just become part of that family history going down that road you talked about. And I'll tell you right now, you doing stuff like this, there's part of that, your family, that are going to listen to things. They're going to start listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
they're going to find out and they're going to hear you talk about them, and it may hurt them.
And they're going to be mad.
But that's okay.
Right.
What they need to understand is they could be loved and helped too if they want to make a change. Never give up hope. There's miracles all the time. And it takes that one voice that all of a sudden, instead of fighting it and trying to stay where you are and defending your choices, step back, look in the mirror and say, am I happy? Can I do better? Or if I keep doing exactly what I'm doing and get the same exact results that I've developed over the past 20 years, am I going to be satisfied? And the biggest thing is first realizing and saying, no, I'm going to end up doing the same thing and ending up like the people that are around me. And I need to make a choice and a change. And a lot of times that's reaching out to the people that you either hurt or people that you want help from, and first gaining forgiveness, forgiving yourself, and now saying, what's the new me? What do I want to create? And now taking massive action. And massive action could be, you don't have to be a chiropractor to show up to DE. You bring 3 people and you say, okay, there's Paula, Marilyn, Steve, Eddie, Brian, and you say, guys, I'm bringing these people. We want to connect. Game on. And we're going to bring them along just like everyone brought you along, and all the thousands of other people that, and people that transform my life, like Paula Hedgelon, Marilyn. These women all transform my life by taking all my hurt and fire and helping me address it, helping me heal, helping me forgive. So now we can create a space to do that for more people. So there's people that you come out and use those words about your mom and your family. That's very brave. And by the grace of God, they could listen to your little beautiful spirit talking, saying, but they could do the same thing. They could change. They could heal. And we know people and have people that could help them do that. Imagine that. But one little lady and a man, your grandma, right?
Yeah.
Grandpa, were there for you. And I'm sure there were a lot of tough times and conversations and things that people will never know about behind closed doors that took place. And people don't need to know about that. But love brought you guys through that. Love brought you to DE, because that little lady knew, by putting your little body in that room where you used to sit there with the crayons and the paper and draw and write little words. Oh, I got goosebumps, kiddo. Over time, just rebuilt you, helped you shed the husks, the hurt, the anger. And then all of a sudden it's like the lily growing out of the bottom of the swamp that's growing up and has to fight through the mud and then goes up and reaches towards the light. They have the most beautiful flowering iridescent colors. And that's what's happening to you. Because Grandma wasn't a bystander. Grandpa wasn't a bystander. Love gave them strength to get you where you are now. And now to keep growing, you just have to keep staying around these like-minded people. And you're going to wake up one day and go, like, the person that you're becoming, you're going to compare it to the person you could have been. It's going to be amazing. And you're already there, but you don't stop. Don't get comfortable. Just keep going. Which is why we're going to be tough on you. We're going to love on you. We're going to help you crush it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so thankful. I've said it again and again, and I will continue to say it. I'm so thankful for my grandparents and for you and for Paula and Marilyn and all those people, because like I said, without you guys, wouldn't be here. Like, I would not be alive right now.
Right.
And I'm expressing life fully, and I get to help others and change their lives. And it's the same for you. Like, you could have just kind of given up and had some 9-to-5 job, but you didn't. And you chose to fully express your life and just change other people. It's all a cycle, and we're all a part of the story. And yeah, I think that's a good note to leave it off on. But thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed this. Everyone needs to go ahead and go check out Wake Up Humans. That's a great podcast. Go get the books, all that stuff. And just thank you for joining me.
It's my pleasure, girl. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you next week, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, by the way, go to DE. So bye and thank you.